Speech Night is a one-of-a-kind, biannual campus tradition established in 1971, making it the longest running event of its kind in the country.
So let's get started. You get a means of connection between people or places in particular.
Public speaking is power.
You say things in different ways. It means things, and it means different things to different people.
But for us to be able to alleviate someone's misfortune, we have to first be able to listen to their problem.
Acquiring the skill of speaking before a group of people may be one of the most important.
Oh, there's a word to describe that feeling.
According to the Walt Disney Company, they currently operate from infinity to beyond.
Just comes a time when you have to stand up for your rights, and you have to stand up for what you believe, and you have to stand up for what's right.
And at the time, I just kept thinking, I was like, you got up here, and you did what no one else could do. You got up here, you did what so many people were afraid to do. I was like, stop listening because you're already a winner.
First, would you send someone to prison to make yourself feel better? I probably would say no.
It was quite an event. I was not prepared to win, did not expect to win. It was a surprise and a good one. What you need to do is find a way to channel that nervousness into what you're doing, into your speaking, into your presentation. And I tried to remember that, and I guess it worked that night.
I mean, I was one of maybe 7 people who were, honored to give a speech at this amazing event in front of so many people, but it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of stress.
To bring this all to them, to make them feel like they're really a part of it. Thinking, what are you going to say to them?
Sorry, guys. It went too many slides. All right. Hello and welcome to the IUPUI Communications Studies Speech Contest. My name is Lorelei Kaplinger, and I am the Student Director of the Speakers Lab Operations and the Assistant Director of tonight's event. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and take a moment to introduce your MC for tonight, Kadia Halstead. Kadia is the 100th Speech Contest winner. In addition, she is our graphic designer at the Speakers Lab and designed all the graphics for tonight's event. So let's give her a round of applause and welcome your MC for tonight, Kadia Halstead.
Hello.
I am Katya, and I will be your MC for tonight's event. And I've also been honored to have been chosen as the winner of the 100th speech competition. Back then it was virtual and over video, so it is pretty great to see everybody here in person to watch and celebrate these seven great speakers. How exciting. Please join me in welcoming Steve Overby, who is representing the Department of Communication Studies. He is also the director of our public speaking program, our speech competition, and the IUPUI Speakers Lab.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here tonight, especially in front of all you, our live audience that has decided to come and watch these fantastic speakers tonight. I also would like to welcome all the people that are watching tonight on live stream, all the family, friends, alumni, people from the past that are joining us through live stream. And those also, all the people that will be watching us in recorded video after the performance is over tonight. So all of you are welcome to watch those as well as all of our previously archived speech nights that are found on the speakerslab.info. Tonight I'm especially honored to speak and give some remarks on behalf of our department, Communication Studies. I am very fortunate that our Dean of the School of Liberal Arts, Tammy Idle, and our chair of our Communication Studies Department, Dr. Christine Karnick, has allowed me to give some remarks about our contest. And so I'd like to think a little bit about and tell you some of the things that really have been important to me over the years that I've been part of, not only the public speaking program here at IUPUI, but also been part of Speech Night. I think I've attended about 23 or 24 now, maybe more, maybe less. I've been the actual producer and director of the last 19, and so everyone is special. Every single one has been tender to me as I watch the speakers over and over again, whether I'm teaching in the classroom or just watching it just for my pleasure or other people's. Tonight we're really honored because we have about, I think, 50 plus universities that will be watching our speech competition because they don't have one of their own. And I think that's very rewarding. So we've had that kind of outreach that has moved outward and onward. We also, when we check our analytics, we find that people from all over the world tune into our competition and watch it in some form or another. And those could be your family or friends that are in remote locations. I know in the past we've had people that were in Iraq, in Afghanistan, fathers, mothers, that have been able to watch our competition through live streaming. And so that's quite an honor, and I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. Our contest is very famous and very renowned. As you heard earlier, and in our program, it states that we have had this consecutively since 1971, and this is our 105th competition. We even, during that terrible time of COVID, when we were locked down and we could go nowhere, I hate to bring that up because that's a sad thing for all of us, we hated it. We have still held our competition, and we never failed to bring, some moments of really joy to those people that watched it and the fabulous speakers that we had. As a matter of fact, Katya, who spoke with you earlier and is our MC, actually was the 100th winner of our competition, and it was online during COVID. And so we're really happy and proud of the fact that we could persevere through all of that type of turmoil that we went through in our country and the world at that time. We, in the Communication Studies Department and the School of Liberal Arts, feel that what we do is very important, especially now as we think about the time that we're in our world and how important communication is and will continue to be. And not only just communication, but also the power to persuade people. And that's what this event is all about. It's the culmination of you taking a public speaking class at our university, and we hope that you leave with skills that you can use and power that you will have in the ability to present material in front of any kind of audience. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. And I used to think years ago that public speaking was very threatening, because I heard a joke one time from Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know if you ever heard of them, probably not. But he was the producer and one of the co-writers of the Seinfeld show. And he used to do stand-up comedy, which we're going to see a fantastic stand-up comedy later tonight. And one of his jokes one time was that his brother-in-law told him that he would rather be in the casket than give the eulogy. Wow, that's pretty scared, isn't it? And so I thought about, wait a second, eulogy is our 5th speech special occasion if we decide to do that, which hardly anybody ever does, but it could be. So anyway, after hearing that and reading all about the myth of, the fear of public speaking that we all have, or we all, say we have, I wanted to put that to a test. And so I said, okay, as I start teaching public speaking classes, after I get off work or whatever I do, I want to put that to a test. So I started sending a survey to all of my students before they ever showed up for the first day of class. And the survey had 2 questions. The first question was, what do you fear most in life? And so it was multiple choice. It was pretty easy, like everything, multiple choice. And the first selection that they could choose from was getting bitten by a poisonous spider. Yeah. The second one was getting bitten by a poisonous snake. And the third was jumping out of an airplane. The fourth was dying itself, being dead, like the guy that didn't want to, give the eulogy. And then the last one was giving a presentation in front of a large audience. Yeah, those were the selections. So I started looking at those coming in from my classes, and I said, this is too early to tell. When I get to 500 responses, I'll make an announcement of what I think about this myth and this fear of public speaking. So they kept on rolling in, and I finally got about 1,000 responses, and then so I now have the results that I was waiting for. The response to that first question on my survey, and that was, what do you fear most? And what do you think that all those 1,000 people said? Over 80% said fear of speaking in front of a group. And I was scratching my head and I was going, no way. Let me go back and review the selections again. And the first selection was getting bitten by a poisonous spider. And of course, if you don't have the, venom or the antidote for that, you could, what happened to you? Die. Yeah, everybody, help participate. And the second one is if you get bitten by a snake and you don't have its venom, what could happen to you? Everyone, you die. Yeah. And the third one was jumping out of an airplane. All right, if you jump out of an airplane and the parachute fails, what happens to you? You die. And of course, the fourth choice is you're dead. So I thought, wait a second. The only selection and the right choice for this is to be check public speaking, or not check it. And I thought, because it's the only selection that doesn't lead to death. Yeah, so that's what we have to think about in the future. And so I thought, how can I convey this one question and responses and help change the attitude of all the people that take public speaking? And it's a lot, by the way. We know that it's mandated for you all to take in whatever focus, whatever your academic discipline is. And I doubt that if I took a survey right now and said how many people wanted to take public speaking, it would probably be not very many. Hands go up in the air. But since we know all that, we've been trying to correct it. And wait a second, since we know the results of that question, didn't I say there was a second question? Right? I did. And there was the second question on that survey. And it was, what grade do you expect to get into this class? And of course, you know, we had the choices, A, B, C, D, F. And what do you think the predominant choice was? A. Yeah. So the people that were most fearful of public speaking, that had never taken the course, never given a speech in front of anybody, still had expectations of an A. I thought that C right there is the courage that we need. Right there. And as I look around this audience tonight, I hope that I see a bunch of A's, right? Yes, because that's what we strive for, it is, in our class. We try to make it as easy as possible. We try to, all of our instructors try to, you know, coach you through the course so you reduce the anxiety. And this year, we've even added some things to help all of our students become successful in presentations. And that is, we have added some new things to our Speakers Lab. And those new things make us a world leader in what we're doing. The first thing is we had 3 rooms, and they were just 3 rooms. We transformed them into 3 distinct rooms. One is our consultation room, where any and all of you can go freely, and many of you have this semester gone and spoken with and have one of our consultants, our mentors there, help you either brainstorm your topic, write your outline, or help you write it. I hope they didn't write it for you, but help you with it. And then they could move you to our second room that we've added, which is our VR Speech Lab. And we are the first public speaking program in the world to institute that into our program to help our students. And what it is, and you saw some of the MetaQuest units on display outside, we have those in our lab that you freely can come and use and actually give a speech or presentation in front of simulated audiences. And many of you in the room have used that already, and I hope it's been helpful to you. It helps you in a less than, stressful point where you can practice in front of either a classroom or whatever. And then once you have that simulated experience, now you're prepared to go into the classroom because it's not as threatening as it could have been. You also can practice your interviewing skills. Those of you that are looking for a career, I know that's everyone. You can also come in and use the same virtual reality and practice interviewing techniques and skills right within our Speakers Lab. And the last room that we created, that third room, is our teleprompter and recording studio. So all of you freely can come to that room and record your speeches if you have to, this last one or any one. You can also record that very favorite speech that you had, which is, I call it, the tell me about yourself speech. If you didn't use that, you should be practicing it. And if you want to record that and put that into your e-portfolio, that's a wonderful thing, and we'll help you do that. Or if you want to just take that recording and use it for future career interviewing, you're welcome to do that. And so all of these 3 rooms that we've created for you and for people that will be taking this course later are to help you with that anxiety, help you toward that A, and help you to be successful in your careers. And that's really what we think about. And so when we think about this event and our program, we think about, I do, all the many people that it takes to put on a course like we have that has as many as 1,500 to 1,800 students each semester with over 60 sections, and this semester 85. It takes a lot of coordination and effort, and there's a lot of people to thank. And I'd like to thank, first of all, for our event tonight, Lorelei Kaplinger, our student director, assistant director of this program, and her assistant, Alyssa Taylor, who have put up with me for the last, I don't know how many weeks or semesters, but I'm pretty intolerable most of the time. I hate to say that, but I am. My wife says it, so I believe her, And so sometimes, but they just smile and just go on with, whatever it is they're doing. And then, of course, there is the dean of our school, Tammy Idle, I've mentioned her, and our chair that has supported us and supported Speech Night for all these many years, since 1971. There are also some past people that actually helped develop and make this night really possible. And I just want to mention them in case they're watching. I hope they are. And that would be Jennifer Cochran, a former director of the program. Kate Thedwell, who is kind of my mentor, and she was also the director of the program and a very big proponent of Speech Night. And then there's Steve LeBeau, who also directed this, and Mike Politis, who's in the audience tonight, Ian Sheeler, who's a past director, Angela Sisson, a past director, and all of those people were instrumental in keeping the speech contest alive over all these many years. So we have to thank all those people for this event. We also have to thank all of the people that are also part of our team, and that is our camera people and our production crew, provided by, IUPUI, the school here, Jennifer Grove, who was also helpful in the event planning of this night. We also have our, as I said, our School of Liberal Arts camera production crew, headed by Linda and her group in the back. All of that is necessary to live stream this event to so many people, and then record it for our archive history. And then, after all those people, of course, we have our fabulous mentors from our IUPUI Mentoring Lab, which is the Speakers Lab in Cavanaugh Hall. And we could never have this event without them, because it takes so many people and so much planning to put this event together. And so I want to thank all them for their support. And now, everyone else that I want to thank, I want them to stand. And so all those that I already asked, I'd like you to stand if you're in the audience. Just stand up. Stand up and stay standing until I'm finished. And then we have our R110 faculty and all of those teachers that teach our course year after year and love it. Would you please stand? All of our R110 instructors. And stay standing. There's a lot of you. They're spread all over the audience, upstairs, downstairs. And then, of course, our contestants tonight, our 7 people. This is what it's about. You, this night, please stand. Please stand up. And you say, wait a minute, that's enough, that's enough. No, please, everybody stay standing. We're not finished yet. This is a group exercise. And then, who do we have? How about all of the contestants that signed up for the competition in the quarterfinals and the semifinals? Please stand up. If you're in the room, stand up. There's a lot of you. Yes. Keep standing. And then how about all of the judges that judged in the quarterfinals and the semifinals? Please stand up. Yes. Yes. And now, all the family and friends of the people that are standing, stand up. All right, I got you all rowdy now. But I'm not finished. Keep standing, because there's one other group, and that's you, the audience, that are judges tonight. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. World, this is how many people it takes to put this event on. Thank you all. You may be seated. That was fun. That was lots of fun. It was especially fun for me, and I have to do some things that are fun for me occasionally. Each year, we also do one more thing, because we like to celebrate the fact that we really love our teachers. We really do. Because they coach us, they help us. I always say to my students, I say, listen, you may not like me all semester long, but when you leave that last day of class, if you feel like I didn't give you enough, if you didn't learn something, if you don't have a skill that you didn't have on the first day, please come back in the room and tell me, and I'll make it right. After 23 years, I've never had a student come back in the room. Maybe because they were just scared of me, or they just wanted to get the heck out, they want to be gone. But the real key is we do honor our teachers, and each year we have a teacher that our panel selects as the Associate Faculty Teacher of the Year. This award is given, and it's called the Kate Thedwell Instructor of Excellence, and it is awarded this year to Teresa Tackett. Teresa has been with us for, I think she says 23 years or more. I've known her for all of that length of time. She's been not only a colleague of mine, but a friend, and she has helped our program immensely. And she's going to come to our stage, Teresa, and she's going to give an acceptance speech, which is also part of one of our special occasion speeches. So let's give her a warm welcome, Teresa Tackett. Thank you, Teresa. Congratulations.
Can you hear me? So how did you like that rousing speech to get you started? Everybody moving around? The blood is flowing, don't you love it? I do, I have to say that. And I did want to say, first of all, thank you to Steve and the communication department for this honor. It's very humbling as a teacher to get honors of that nature, by the way, it really is. And I have been teaching at IUPUI now for 31 years, which is half of my life, by the way, so keep in mind. And most people know me from my laugh and the headband. So if you see me on campus, that's usually what people are referring to when they're talking about me at that point. And I started teaching C-180, oh my goodness, with interpersonal communication, not actual R-110. It wasn't until Kate Thedwell, if you guys remember, who started as a director for a while there. And when she took over, she was just fantastic as a director and as a cheerleader for all of the students. And that really brought me on to R110. It really got me, and that was my new focus. So around that time, too, Steve LeBeau came on. You guys have seen and heard about him already, so as well. And he began the Speakers Lab. Not only that, but he and Kate collaborated with several other faculty members and made your course book. So yeah, you can thank all of them for all that wonderful hard work. They made the foundation of the R110 class that you now have. So thank them for that, if nothing else. A lot of knowledge and energy went into making these assignments and these rubrics, believe it or not. A lot of the love and experience from your instructors hopefully are going into making that work for you. That's the whole point of it. And that's what we do. And you can thank Steve and Kate for that. You really can. And you can also thank them, by the way, for the money, the prize money that you get tonight for those of you speakers. So hey, that's a wonderful thing. And I want to thank, of course, all the other people involved in this. This event is difficult enough to do, but think about it. You've got all this work, all these volunteers, and it takes a whole lot to make this happen. And they do such a fantastic job in it. And of course, Steve Overby. You've got to love him, honestly, our director. His tireless devotion for protecting and keeping this course and this competition the way that it is, he does a fantastic job. So finally, I do want to thank my family, my husband, for their patience and support all these years as I have given of myself to my vocation. Thank God for them, and as you, for students, for your vision of a future, hopefully, where communication is key to your future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Overby and Professor Tackett. Now, before we bring the first speaker out to the stage, I'd like to take a few moments to review the judging and voting process with you all. You should have received a paper tonight that includes the event agenda, contestants, and a section for the QR codes to the digital agenda and program. And if you did not receive this paper, you can view it digitally on thespeakerslab.info. On the back of this agenda sheet, there is a place for you to score contestants on a variety of categories, including the proper Monroe format, citations, and speech delivery. We ask that you score fairly and consistently, and make sure you are judging based on the same criteria for each contestant. After all 7 contestants give their speech, and during an interlude with a great guest entertainment, you will be ranking the contestants from 1st to 7th place. When it is time for you to vote, you will use your phone camera and scan the QR code
In that Google form, you will rank the contestants, one being the best. If you do not remember the order of speakers, you can review the event agenda for that list. Once the scores are calculated and the time penalties are put into place, we will announce third place, second place, and our 105th speech competition winner. Now let's meet the 105th speech competition contestants. Our first speaker of the night is Madeline Keelish. She is a junior studying health science. Madeline is a transfer student, and this is her third school she has been to, and she is also a dance teacher. Her professor is Mike Polides. Her speech is titled Unsuccessful Aging. Let us all welcome Madeline Keelish.
I want to start off today by visualizing your future. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 to 15 years of your life? Did you meet your soulmate? Did you finally get your dream job? Did you get to travel the world, meet new people, and experience new cultures? What if I told you all of this happens? All of your dreams come true. But it gets ripped away from you like it never did. According to the Brazilian Journal of Psychiatry, by 2050, over 15% of the world population will be above the age of 65, while less than 8% will be under the age of 5. As we see an increase in life expectancy, we also see an increase in unsuccessful aging. As someone with a loved one with dementia, I know what it's like for a person to forget your name, even though you've known them your entire life. My grandmother was diagnosed with dementia, and I have slowly watched her turn into somebody that I don't recognize. She'll call me 3 times in an hour because she forgets she already called me. She thinks that her doctors and neighbors are conspiring against her. She thought for 4 consecutive months that her neighbor called her every morning at 4 a.m. just to mess with her. He wasn't, by the way. She broke down crying to me because she could not understand that she is sick, and she cannot comprehend why she cannot live alone. But what if I told you there's a way to fight this? Physical activity will be the thing that saves us. Lack of physical activity is one of the main contributors to neurological diseases such as dementia. Physical activity will not only increase our life expectancy, but prolong our quality of life. The frontiers in neuroscience categorize an individual who has aged unsuccessfully as someone who, while aging, has developed either motor or cognitive impairment that affects their daily lives. These factors can increase your risk to chronic diseases such as Alzheimer's, dementia, and other forms of the disease that eradicate your personality and ability to function. Other risk factors can be age, high blood pressure and sugar, obesity, social isolation, and depression. This year, the World Health Organization announced that 55 million people are suffering from dementia. Not only is it the 7th leading cause of death in our world, but it is one of the main contributors to disability and dependency. With dependency, you're not just affecting you, you affect everyone around you. My mother has uprooted her entire life to take care of my grandmother's every need, whether it's taking her to all of her doctor's appointments, packing up her entire condo, handling her finances, and just protecting her. She's doing it all. You unintentionally impact everyone around you. A study done by Dr. Deborah Barnes and Dr. Christine Yaffe showed that 54% of these risk factors may be avoidable. With their findings, they found the 7 biggest risk factors. Lack of physical exercise was number 1. So what are we gonna do about it? We're gonna get active. Okay, I am not telling you to go to the gym 7 days a week and to have less than 10% body fat. I am not saying that whatsoever. I'm telling you just to keep moving. This can be going out to dinner tonight and going for a walk afterwards, having an occasional bike ride, finding a new passion that excites you, like gardening, Tai Chi, or other sports. Inserting more into your daily life not only reduces your risk to dementia, but also has countless health benefits as well. You'll see a strengthening in your muscles and your bones. You can have weight control. You'll see improvement in your balance, sleep, and coordination. You have an overall increase in your energy levels and boost in your mood and your mental health. We're college students. We're stressed. Finals week is coming up, and IUPUI knows this. Earlier this year, IUPUI conducted a study of the overall well-being of the student body. Only 30% of students qualified to be active adults, meaning they partake in aerobic and strength training. Only 30%. While 70% of students reported that they have moderate to severe psychological distress. You weren't aware of it, but it is already impacting you right now. The health benefits begin now. Plus, you're investing in your future. A 90-year-old motivational speaker, Dennis Waitley, once said, "Time and health are two precious assets that we don't recognize and appreciate until they have been depleted." In Heidelberg, Germany, Christine Saitler, among other top researchers, hypothesized this correlation between lifestyle habits and Alzheimer's disease. They took 500 German civilians over the course of 12 years. They would perform tests, neurological and physical, one of them being the 1-foot balance test. Patients were asked to stand on 1 foot for 15 seconds. They found that people who passed this test reduced their risk to Alzheimer's by 65%. Not only this, but their performance on the neurological tests were far greater from those who could not pass the 1-foot balance test. Renato Monteiro Jr. went to long-term care facilities to test on older adults. He found men and women that showed no clear signs or symptoms of dementia or any other forms of the disease, and he tested their motor, cognitive, and physical functions. He found that people throughout their lives, if they had poor aerobic activity, were more likely to exhibit poor semantic fluency and executive function. So we've seen what this can do. Could you pass the 1-foot balance test? How can we make sure that you do? We're gonna get active. There are so many opportunities right here on campus, like NIFS, that gives you access to a gym. There's intramural and club sports. You could even go to LA Fitness and get a gym membership and not only have access to their gym, but group fitness classes as well, like Zumba and aerobics. But most importantly, I want you to spread awareness. As simple as all this sounds, it can be life-changing to somebody. It can be the difference of playing with your kids to not even knowing who they are. It's not people at risk, just like my grandma. What if it was your mom? My speech instructor lost his mother due to dementia. Daily life became so difficult, her whole family had to travel across the country to be there for her. And it got to the point where she didn't recognize her own son. Protect you and your loved one's overall health. Act now to limit your risk to diseases that eradicate your personality. Don't be a victim to unsuccessful aging. Now, where do you see yourself in 50 years? Are you looking at your soulmate? Are you playing with your kids? Do you know who they are?
All right. Speaker 2 tonight is Sarah Grace Wiggins. She is a freshman majoring in art education. After graduation, she hopes to become an elementary art teacher, and she enjoys making art. Her professor is Keely Higley. Her speech is titled, Draw the Line at Educational Theft. Let us all welcome Sarah Grace Wiggins.
The 1930s was a time of great social change. Many amazing inventions came out during this time, like the electron microscope, or the first jet engine, and even car radios, one of the greatest things since sliced bread, which was also patented in the 30s. Now, these objects look very dated to us today, but they were revolutionary to our ancestors almost 100 years ago. Now, how many of you want to use one of these tools in your daily life? Probably none. We are people of the 21st century, and we want the newest and the best for ourselves and for our communities. The 1930s were nearly 100 years ago. So why are we still using the discriminatory red-lined housing maps of the 1930s to draw our current school district borders? As an Indianapolis public school, or IPS, tutor of 5 years and future IPS educator, the issue of educational redlining is deeply personal for me, my future, and the future of my community. Redlining in our local school districts is a harmful and outdated practice that must be addressed. Today, I will be sharing with you the history of redlining and its impact on education, how we can make education more equitable, and the impact of having an equal education for all. Education is power. Education is a human right. As B.B. King said, the beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. Educational redlining, however, is robbing our community for some people. Brokers use racial and socioeconomic demographics to create maps outlining which communities would be safe to loan to and which would be considered hazards. The hazardous Black and immigrant communities were marked in red, effectively cutting them off from loan and mortgage access. According to research published in 2014 by Richard Rothstein through the Economic Policy Institute, these redline communities were actually hazardous to the people living there. Infrequent city garbage disposal, unpaved streets, close proximity to industrial toxic waste facilities, and less access to sewer services, power, and even clean water drastically decreased the quality of life in these communities. Redlining has created a prison of multi-generational poverty. Poverty reaches into all areas of life, and even the education system has fallen victim to the evils of redlining. According to a study published in 2020 by USA Today, non-white schools receive $23 billion less funding than majority white schools, even when they share an equal number of students. Harvard PhD students Christopher Cleveland and Dylan Lukes published in 2021 through the 74 their study of the per pupil spending average of blue zone schools and red zone schools. There was a $3.2 thousand difference between these two zones. That's $3,000 per student, less resources and less support that the red zone students have access to. In 2021, Tiane Marshall from the Law Journal for Social Justice explained that even teachers tend to avoid red-line school districts, leading to inconsistent education and teacher-student relationships in impoverished school zones. All of these factors contribute to the disparities of the IPS school system and its failure to equitably serve its students. Educational redlining is an issue that runs deep in our communities, but we are capable of making change. The division of the school districts effectively traps children in schools that are ill-equipped to serve them. One of the ways that we can put an end to the theft of education is by eradicating attendance zone boundaries. An attendance zone boundary dictates who gets access to which public school. Now, students are allowed to enroll in schools outside of their school district, but they are charged an out-of-district attendance fee, not to mention the extra cost of providing their own transportation. Tiane Marshall suggests that we switch to an open enrollment policy like that in Florida. This means that students are free to access any public school in the state. They'd be able to find a school that best supports them and provides a quality education regardless of where they live. Until we are able to create equality in education across the board, giving our children fair access to the schools that already do have the resources to support them is one of the ways that we can start healing the scars of our past. If we want the next generations to inherit a better society, then we must start with bettering the education system. Greek philosopher Epictetus said, "Only the educated are free." An educated youth means a brighter hope for tomorrow. We must remember that we are the ones in control. The policymakers that we vote for at the city, the state, and national level have to listen to us. The most powerful way that we can make change is by making our voices heard. Walden University shared in their article, An Introduction to Elementary Education, some of the numerous benefits of having a solid educational foundation. Quote, "Elementary school is a vital step in later learning and life in general. It's where most children learn to read, where they learn the fundamental concepts of science and mathematics, and where they gain a basic understanding of the world and its history. Without elementary education, all other learning would be difficult, if not impossible. It is in school where students are first exposed to the vast world around them. Building this solid foundation at a young age helps to prepare them for all of their future endeavors. As well as readying students in the area of academics, education also helps to create more balanced and well-rounded people as well. The many benefits of education was explained in the 2022 University of Potomac article. They said that education helps children develop their critical thinking skills, aids in cognitive and communication skills, improves self-discipline, and in turn, helps them to give back to their communities. It is through education that our children are empowered to make a difference in our world. Remember that change is possible. There are many ways that we can make a difference right now in the short-term and the long-term goals of leveling the playing field of education. First, contact the Indianapolis School Board, letting them know that we don't approve of their segregated attendance zone boundaries. You can contact them through phone, email, or even in person. You can find their website, contact info, and their phone and office hours here on screen. We can also make a difference by attending local school board meetings and advocating for an open enrollment policy. You can find the dates of upcoming IPS school board meetings on myips.org, which is also listed here on screen. As well as creating change locally, create change on a state level by voting for lawmakers who will help to put an end to the theft of educational empowerment. Finally, we can also make a difference by tutoring an IPS student or donating money to organizations that support IPS students. The MLK Junior Community Center in Tarkington Park, Migros Aid in Indianapolis, and the School on Wheels right here through IUPUI are great places to start. You wouldn't want a doctor to examine you with a century-old microscope or book a flight on a plane that uses a century-old engine. So why would we continue to use century-old discriminatory practices that bar the children in our communities from accessing equitable education? Black American writer James Baldwin wrote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." We must face the issue of educational redlining to make a change for our students today, and to make a change for our leaders of tomorrow. Thank you.
Our third speaker is Anna Turgeon. She is a junior majoring in communication studies. Anna enjoys calligraphy, watercolors, cooking, and running. Her professor is Joaquin Mariscal, and her speech is entitled, "The Critical Importance of Media Literacy for Hoosier Youth." Let us all welcome Anna Turgeon.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, cable news, commercials. Feels like every day each one of us is absolutely inundated with information and advertisements from multiple channels of digital media. This rising popularity of countless social media apps and other sources of digital content has unfortunately also given rise to misinformation in all corners of the internet. Anyone can say anything, and if we as consumers aren't careful, it can all seem very, very convincing. As all of us know, it can be so difficult to determine what, or more accurately, who to believe in this sea of conflicting narratives and agendas. The same goes for children as well. In 2016, the Stanford Digital Education Group did a study which showed that middle schoolers struggled to determine the difference between an advertisement and an informational news piece. So this study showed that although children and teens have grown up with technology and use it so easily, tech savviness does not equate to their ability to truly evaluate all the information that's coming at them. This study found that the digital natives of this generation are easily duped by misinformation, and they're really easily influenced by targeted messaging. As somebody who regularly uses social media and consumes a lot of information online, I know how difficult it can be to discern fact from fiction. I've seen the impact that media messaging can have when it's taken at face value without consideration of the author's purpose or their potential bias. In a 1992 article from Media and Values magazine, contributor Neil Anderson made this statement: "Reading is still an essential skill, but proficiency with print has become only one element of literacy in our society. Media literacy is no longer separable from education." Over 30 years later, this statement could not be truer, because kids today are consuming greater quantities of media and at a much younger age than ever before, making media literacy education a critical need in Indiana schools. So what is media literacy? According to Dr. Cynthia Vinnie, a media psychology expert, media literacy is the ability to apply critical thinking skills to the messages, signs, and symbols transmitted through mass media. With this understanding, we can see that not having media literacy curriculum leaves a really big hole in the educational system here in Indiana. In a 2015 report by Common Sense Media, they found that children between the ages of 8 and 12 engage with media for an average of 6 hours per day. For adolescents, they engage with media for an average of 9 hours per day. To me, these statistics are staggering. This just goes to show the prevalence of digital media consumption in the daily lives of children and teens. According to MediaLiteracyNow.org, however, it's not a neutral impact. It can often be a very negative impact on the health and well-being of today's youth, and can prevent them from becoming empowered and engaged citizens. This website goes on to list some of the ways that media messaging can be harmful: enabling cyberbullying, promoting substance abuse and other risky behaviors, perpetuating stereotypes, creating body image issues, which is especially prevalent for young teens on social media. On top of all this, there's the really damaging impact of false news. According to a study done in 2018 by Sarush Vusogi, false news drives the misallocation of resources during terror attacks and natural disasters, the misalignment of business investments, and misinformed elections. These are huge consequences. Unfortunately, the study also found that false information travels faster and farther than true information online. And a lack of media literacy is largely to blame for how quickly false information is believed and spread to others. So, given this often detrimental impact of media consumption on today's youth, we can see that every child needs tools to help them become conscientious and confident consumers of media. Children and teens should use media, not be used by media. On this map behind me, you'll notice that 18 states have some form of media literacy legislation for their K-12 schools. You'll also notice that sadly, Indiana is not one of the states currently taking action. Although media literacy is not a partisan issue and there's clearly precedent, there's no active bill in the Indiana State Legislature for media literacy education. New Jersey State Senator Michael Testa made this statement about the law implemented in his state. He said, "This law is not about teaching kids that any specific idea is true or false. Rather, it is about helping them to understand how to research, evaluate, and understand the information they are being presented for themselves." In other words, media literacy curriculum is about teaching kids how to think in a sea of messaging that's telling kids what to think. So what does curriculum implementation look like in Indiana then? This curriculum implementation will greatly decrease the circulation of false information, as more and more users will become educated on how to evaluate the veracity of social media posts and other types of digital content. Additionally, with the implementation of media literacy curriculum, every student will have tools in order to analyze the authorship, content, audience, format, and purpose of these messages that they're being inundated with every single day. Media literacy is foundational to the success of democracy, as it allows individuals to self-express, self-evaluate, and think critically. Without media literacy, then, our future, our children's future, and the future of our democracy is at risk. So what action can we take? What action do we need to take? This is the homepage of Indiana District 9 Congressional Representative Erin Huchin. Erin Huchin is a member of the House Education and Works Committee, and she herself is a mother. There are two ways that you can make a big difference and appeal to Congresswoman Huchin. In the top right-hand corner of the screen, you can either email her or find her phone number. You can remind her how important media literacy is for Indiana's youth. And you can remind her that 18 other states have already taken action. There is precedent, and Indiana needs to catch up. After contacting Congresswoman Huchin, you can go to medialiteracynow.org as another great site as a way to educate yourself and others about this important issue. I hope that by now you see the importance and urgency of media literacy education. We need legislation in Indiana. It's not acceptable that we don't have it. If we want our students, our youth, now and in the future, to be able to succeed in this media-driven world, we have to empower them. We have to take the first step and advocate on their behalf. Thank you.
Speaker for tonight is Emma Adams. She is a freshman and an exploratory major. She enjoys dancing, singing, and theater, and she hopes to travel and obtain a job after graduation. Her professor is Teresa Tackett. Her title of her speech is Eyes on the Road. Let's all welcome Emma Adams.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Adams, and thank you so much for being here. I would like to begin by telling the story of Kira. Kira Hudson, in 2005, was 20 and had a bright future. She had so much ahead of her, and she loved her family and loved doing sports. As we see her here in this first picture, she's on a motorcycle with her brother, and she's on the steps with her niece. And then we see her water skiing, an activity that she loved to do. On January 31st of 2005, Kira was having an argument with her boyfriend, as many 20-year-olds do. This argument continued into the car. As she was driving and having this argument with her boyfriend, she was trying to think of another insult, and she looked down at her phone, and a squirrel ran across the road. She looked up and saw it at the last second. It startled her, and she swerved. Kira ended up upside down in a ditch. This is Kira now. She is paralyzed from the waist down. She'll never be able to walk again, and she'll never be able to water ski again. 11 years after that first crash, Kira got into another accident. And this time, she wasn't the distracted driver. It was someone in another vehicle. This man was texting and driving. According to her Indy Star interview in 2021, Kira said that both of these accidents were all because of a stupid phone. I'm sure we all remember going to driver's ed and constantly being told to not text and drive. I know I remember that. But I don't really remember them talking about other things that we do on a phone that can be just as dangerous. I know that I myself am guilty of looking down at my Google Maps or changing the song to go next. And as I was doing more research, I realized that I was in the wrong, and this is all dangerous. It's not just texting and driving. And so I'm hoping by talking to you guys today, we can understand that there are more dangers to our phones while in the car. So I hope we all can reflect on ourselves as I go over what is the problem. Why is texting and driving and looking at other things on our phone while driving such a big deal? And why is no one listening? And then I would like to propose a solution that may solve this problem. And finally, when we talk about the solution, I want to go over some benefits that can happen as a result. So, why is this such a problem? Well, the main problem is that this causes a lot of car accidents. That can be pretty obvious to us, but the numbers can be sometimes jarring. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration on distracted driving, 3,522 people were killed in 2021 in America due to distracted driving on our cell phones. That is scary. And even more people are injured in a year. According to Edgar Snyder and Associates, 390,000 people are injured a year from texting and driving. But there it is again, texting and driving. That brings me to our next problem, that the media only talks about texting and driving. What about every other time we're on our phone? When we send a Snapchat while driving? What about that? Well, this creates this problem where we go into this area where we think that we will be fine going on our phone while driving. People may start out just looking at one Instagram post, and eventually that can lead to doing more on our phone, setting up our playlist, looking at Google Maps the whole time, and eventually this leads us to think that because we haven't had an accident yet, we are okay. A perfect example of this is from a CBS News article from 2015. This article talks about Carly Rose Bollig. Carly was 17 years old, and she was on a car trip with her friends. It was fun at first, but then she got on Facebook, and she was looking on Facebook while she was driving. Her friends realized that this was the wrong move, and that she shouldn't be doing this. They felt unsafe in that car, and they begged her to stop. But because Carly had done this before, she was like, nothing's gonna happen. She didn't believe that anything harmful could happen to her or others because of her actions. And because of this, she told her friend that she wanted to crash. It was a joke at the time, but her wish came true. When she looked at another Facebook post, she ran a red light, and she T-boned a car. In that car were Charles and Casey Maurer. Because of Carly's actions and her believing that she wasn't the problem and that this couldn't happen to her because it hasn't happened before, then she ended up a murderer. She ended up killing the innocent lives of a father and his 11-year-old daughter. So because people believe that this cannot happen to them, how can we fix this? How can we stop all of these accidents from happening? Well, I propose that we simply start talking about it. I think we need to spread more awareness about distracted driving and not just texting and driving. And I want to do this in 3 parts. The first part is spreading awareness to everyone. This is just basic information on how dangerous this all can be. This can be of the form of speaking to crowds like this, or it can be on posters or billboards, or maybe even a social media post. But I hope people don't see that post while driving. And then my second option would be to talk to your friends. After we go tell everyone about it, you need to tell people in your personal lives about what is going on. Be like Carly's friends and tell your friends to stop getting on their phones while driving. Tell the people next to you that it's a bad idea and do not get into the car with someone who you know does this. And then the third is to inform yourself. According to Youth for Change, the best way to stay off your phone while driving is to turn on Do Not Disturb. It's as simple as that. You can do that or turn off your phone, or there are even apps out there to ensure that you do not get on your phone while driving. There are also some more fun options, in my opinion, and that's playing those games you used to play while on road trips as a child, or even talking to your passenger. Some of these things can still be seen as a form of distracted driving, but as long as you keep your eyes on the road and are made aware, then you will be much safer than looking down at your phone. And so, as we looked at these solutions, what would be the benefit? Well, the main one would be less car accidents. According to Edgar Snyder and Associates, 1/4 of car accidents are a result of distracted driving with cell phones. That's a lot. And if we stop that, then that means that car accidents will be reduced by 1/4. That would be an amazing outcome. And then the other benefit is simply that we will have more aware drivers. You will be more aware of your surroundings and get to know the people in the car even better. If you start playing those games I talked about, you may even find every license plate from the 50 states. And so, as we went over this and we talked about the problems of distracted driving with cell phones and texting and driving, and then we went over the solutions to that, informing everyone, informing your friends, and informing yourself, we can see the benefits of safer roads and more aware drivers. And so I ask you all to please stay off your phones while driving. I know that I've started to make some changes while I'm in the driver's seat, and I really hope you do too. And also, please tell others around you about it. You do not want to be the person to cause that next car accident. Thank you all so much for listening.
Okay. Our 5th speaker for the night is Josie Salinas. She is a freshman majoring in fine arts. After graduation, she hopes to become an art teacher, and Josie enjoys crochet, reading, and baking. She also has 4 cats. Her professor is Teresa Tackett, and the title of her speech is Why We Should Adopt a System of Universal Daycare. Let's all welcome Josie Salinas.
The education system in America has many faults, though I'm sure I don't need to say much for you to agree. From teacher shortages, fights, to bad school lunches, ew, everyone here likely has a story. I am no stranger to this. In my 6th grade science class, I learned approximately nothing due to the fact that I was either stuck with rotating substitutes or an incompetent teacher. I also want to be an educator myself, so I try to follow the news on education, and the statistics are concerning. The New York Times recently shared in an article results from the National Assessment for Educational Progress, which showed that math scores for 13-year-olds are at the lowest they've been since the 90s, and reading scores, the lowest they've been since the 70s. Additionally, in a study shared in August of this year by WalletHub, examining childcare in each state, Indiana was ranked dead last. Scary, right? But wait, childcare? How do those two connect? I'm going to show you not only are these two closely connected, but why childcare is so impactful and important for child development. Without accessible and affordable daycare, many children go into the education system with gaps in their social and reading levels, which, as time goes on, only get worse. A universal daycare initiative would both help working families and help with school readiness. So, the best way for children to be able to succeed in school is through, shocker, proper school readiness. The First 5 Years Fund tells us that school readiness is a set of skills that children learn in order to ease the transition into a school environment, which includes physical well-being and motor development, social and emotional development, cognitive skills, language and developing literacy, and the ability to concentrate and follow directions. The fund website tells us that students who are school ready have a 37% higher chance of mastering basic skills by age 11, telling us that this is a vital skill for students, not to only become functional students, but to become functional people. So why do we need childcare? Why don't we just have parents be in charge? It is an unfortunate reality that many parents do not have the resources to get their child school ready, as we live in a society which often demands that both parents work. Aaron Emerson, the CEO of the Perry County Development Corporation and Perry County Child Care Initiative, stated in an article by the State House File that in Indiana, 67% of children may need daycare due to the fact that both parents work. While some may argue that it's better for a child to be with their parents during this time, it is simply not an option for most. Despite this need and value, childcare as it is right now is unaffordable. According to the Economic Policy Institute, Indiana has some of the highest rates for childcare at $10,150 a year or $846 a month, which can account to 12 to 50% of these families' incomes. In states like California, the average gets up to $20,000 or more. So we can see that there is a need for more accessible daycare. So what is being done about it? And is it working? Well, in the midst of the child care crisis, the current solution encourages financial aid programs and vouchers. In fact, if you were to Google Indiana child care, among the first results would be financial aid programs. The problem with these programs is that eligibility varies depending on income. Aaron Emerson, in the State House File, stated that according to the eligibility requirements of the Child Care Development Fund here in Indiana, a single parent cannot make more than $14.22 an hour to be eligible. This is simply inefficient for parents who are struggling to pay for childcare but do not meet these requirements, even if just barely. So, what do we do about it? A solution to this is to create a system in which the government supplies funds so that daycares do not have to rely on parents to stay open. This may seem unattainable for the United States, but it's not something completely unheard of. We can take a look at warren.senate.gov to see the Child Care for Every Community Act, which the bill proposed earlier this year. According to this bill, parents would only have to pay $10 a day, and their expenses would be capped at $200 a month. The rest for operating fees and activity materials would be supplied by the government, specifically the Department of Health and Human Services. So this would cut major costs for parents, clearly. And it would also add on to educational programs that already exist, like Head Start. It was also endorsed by many large organizations for education, like the American Federation for Teachers and the National Education Association, which both agreed on how beneficial the system would be. I'll be honest with you, this bill did not pass this round, according to the Eschinger report, not because it was not beneficial, but because of the cost, which lawmakers balked at. But looking at the state of education, any kind of significant beneficial change, we're going to have to spend some money. Whether it is this bill specifically or not, a universal daycare initiative would greatly benefit America. But how can we tell? We can actually look at Canada for this. They have their own 10-a-day program with $10 a day or $200 a month. The Eschinger report gives the story of a British Columbian mother who was struggling to pay $1,200 a month when she was given the offer to only have to pay $10 a day. And she said it was like winning the lottery. And I'm sure many American parents would agree. Now, a system like this in place would mean that more parents would put their children in daycare. It means more parents could work. Not only could this solve worker shortages across the country, but it means parents could more easily save for their child's future. And we all know how expensive college is. More importantly, this would level the playing field when it comes to children and education. The 74million.org states that children are not seriously assessed until they're 8 years old. Think I read. And by that time, it is already too late to have a sustained intervention for areas like learning or reading. Additionally, this is further solidified by the First 5 Years Fund, which states that if a child starts academically behind in kindergarten, they are more likely to stay behind for the rest of their academic career, which is 12 years or more. So we can see clearly that childcare and the education system are intrinsically linked, because the childcare that daycare, the school readiness that childcare provides can be vital for children as they advance grades and feeling confident in being prepared and not falling behind. Despite this need and value, it is unaffordable and it is inaccessible for so many families. Even financial aid programs by outside organizations have their limitations. We need to have daycare accessible for everyone, and that can be done with a universal daycare initiative. But the bill has failed to pass. Is there nothing we can do about it? That is not true. Even if a bill has failed to pass in Congress, it could enter in a new round under a new number. We can always write new bills. I encourage you all to call or email. Yes, fellow introverts who would rather die than make a phone call, you can email your legislators and Congress. Let them know this is an issue that matters. This is a QR code for the Indiana General Assembly where you can easily put in your information to find your correct legislator. I also encourage you all to stay informed, whether it be by watching or reading the news or by social media, because knowledge is power. Here is a list of sources you can use. The State House file is great for Indiana-specific news. There is not one solution to fix all of the problems with education, but if we start to examine and fix the problem at the root, we can take steps to guarantee that children in the future, possibly your children in the future, have a bright future. Thank you.
Our sixth speaker of the evening is Rylan Conaway. He is a freshman majoring in business management, and Rylan hopes to secure a job after graduation. He enjoys thrifting, reading, biking, and playing the piano. His professor is Mimi Wilson. The title of his speech is "Prison Isn't Rehabilitation, It's Repetition." Let's all welcome Rylan Conaway.
Thank you, thank you. I want you to imagine you're isolated from your friends and family, subjected to abuse, poor living conditions, and this repeats for years on end. Now let me ask you, do you think that will make you a better person? See, that might seem like a ridiculous question, but when you look at the current institutions of our own government, you might be left scratching your head. According to Statista, the US has one of the largest prison populations in the world. This year alone, over 1.68 million Americans were incarcerated. Now, with a budget of $80 billion annually, you would expect our institutions to be top of the line, but this cannot be further from the truth. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, within 3 years of release, 1/3 of all state prisoners will return to their cell, a quarter of which will do that in the first 2. Abuse, corruption, isolation, and a lack of effort to integrate these people back into civilian life has left us to face a severe issue. The current US prison system does not make our communities safer or prevent crime. In fact, it only makes it worse. The idea of a prison system is very simple: a deterrent, a punishment, and an opportunity to reform. But it seems like we're only succeeding on one of those 3. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, an ex-convict is 53 times more likely to commit homicide than the average citizen. And a meta-analysis of 116 studies found that harsh punishments don't seem to deter crime. In fact, in the communities where prison sentences are higher, crime rates are higher. So prison isn't deterring, and it's not reforming. It's making people only more aggressive and more active. And should we really be surprised? The Bureau of Prisons can send a US inmate anywhere in the country on a whim. Many inmates are already ostracized and renounced by their families, so the support that they may get is filtered even further. And if you do have someone who attempts to reach out and even cross the state lines, you have to go through a lengthy approval process, all at the hands of the prison staff. All at the hands of the prison staff. I think we all forget how important and how major that responsibility is. But the truth is, the prison staff are one of the most corrupt institutions in America. According to research from criminal defense attorney Jessica Parker, 24,000 allegations of sexual abuse are reported in US prisons every year. An even more disturbing statistic, 42% of those are cited to be staff abuse, meaning the staff itself are conducting these crimes. Now, I want you to imagine that you're a prisoner. You're away from your family. You're isolated. And the people that are viewed as the good guys are doing crimes as abhorrent or even worse than the ones you're being sentenced for, and they're getting away with it. Inmates that are previously nonviolent will tend to associate with violent offenders because it's the only way to be protected. And this only feeds more into increasing gang culture in prison. Another thing that's often overlooked is what happens after a sentence. What happens after an inmate is released? The Equal Justice Initiative finds that majority of prisoners come from poverty. In fact, the average salary of an inmate was 41% lower than the median salary in the US, and that was before they were even set foot into a cell. Only 34 to 37% of all ex-convicts are currently employed. We have provided no research and no programs to help give these people career skills. Applying for housing with a criminal record, applying for employment with a criminal record, it's practically impossible these days to find work. So it's very clear that the US system is ineffective. And it's clear what we're doing is wrong, but who's doing it right, and what should we be doing differently? Well, let's take a look at Norway. You see, during the 90s, Norway had a prison system very similar to ours, and they faced drastic consequences. The rate of recidivism in Norway during the 90s was 70%, meaning within 2 years, 70% of all convicts were reinstated into prison. However, within the last 20 years, there's been major adjustments and changes. So what did they do? Well, one of the most controversial was the removal of the life sentence. Max sentencing in Norway is only 21 years, occasionally under 30. However, one of the most effective changes was that of the social climate. See, according to the National Institute of Health, isolation is the leading cause of mental illness and has the strongest correlation to mortality in adults. Now, Norway is highly praised for its medical achievements, so it's very aware of this. Instead of these large Orwellian prisons, they have their institutions shaped like small rehab clinics. Visits are allowed 3 times a week. Conjugal visits, which are only approved in 4 states in the US, are accepted everywhere. Now, this has proven extremely effective. Norway, which once had a 70% recidivism rate, has dropped to the lowest in the world at 20%. Prison sentences in Norway are on average just 3 months, and the employment rates of ex-convicts has increased by 50% with all of the employment institutions they provide. Now, the US is a country founded on fresh starts and second chances. It's important that we look past the sentencing of these criminals and help to adjust them back into society. It might be easy to have these biases, but in a time where diversity is more accepted than ever, we should learn from our peers and integrate the lessons that they've learned. This is a fiasco, an $80 billion fiasco. So instead of affecting our checkbooks for the worst, let's have it affect our communities for the better. Thank you.
Last but not least is Miriam Baig. She is a freshman majoring in political science, and she wants to be a news reporter post-graduation. She enjoys writing, shopping, traveling, and politics. Her professor is Ernest Agord, and the title of her speech is The Value of a Girl. Let's all welcome Miriam Baig.
Angelina Jolie once said, "There is no greater stability than a strong, free, and educated woman." Every woman is deserving of an education, and today I would like to discuss the ongoing war against a girl's right to learn. I'd like to talk about why this issue exists, what barriers come between a girl and her education, and what you can do to help make a change. Now, fortunately for us in the United States, 98.1% of American women will graduate high school and obtain a higher degree. In fact, women in America now outnumber the amount of men in the college-educated workforce. But is this an excuse to turn a blind eye to the girls of Afghanistan, the girls of Pakistan, the girls of Niger and Chad and Syria and Iraq and Iran and Yemen and Oman and Haiti and Mali and India, and the list goes on? What makes these girls less valuable than our own? Why are they less deserving of an education? How are they, in 2023, still being deprived of a basic human right when we have the power to protest, invest, and encourage? Who's to blame for the theft of a basic human right for millions of girls? What is the value of a girl? Well, let's see. According to UNICEF, over 130 million girls around the world are out of school. Of this unfortunately large number, 67 million are of upper secondary age, 30 million of lower secondary age, and 32 million of primary school age. And according to the World Bank, school completion rates for girls only continues to decrease rapidly, with just 36% of girls achieving even a secondary education. So where are these girls if not in school? Well, many of them are housewives. Get this, 28 girls are forced into child marriage each minute of every single day. Families struggling to feed and support their children will often marry their young daughters off to elderly men in exchange for money. Not only are these girls at a dangerously high risk of domestic violence, they're at a dangerously high risk of child pregnancy. And according to the CDC, child pregnancy is the leading cause of death for girls between the ages of 15 and 19. And the babies born to these mothers are also at a dangerously high risk. Meet Parwana Malik. CNN witnessed this girl being sold and married off to an elderly man in Afghanistan when she was just 9. She fought and she cried and she resisted, but there was nothing her fragile and malnourished little body could do to save herself. As her mother handed her over to her new husband, her husband handed over cash to her father. She lost her childhood. She lost the time of her life where she's supposed to play dress up and play with Barbies. Instead, she's looking after her elderly husband in his home. Is this the value of a girl? If not married, many of these young girls are demanded to work against their will. According to UNICEF, there are over 1.6 million child laborers worldwide, and girls comprise over half of the 60 million child laborers. That's 1 in every 10 kids working in extremely dangerous and extremely hazardous conditions. And according to the World Bank, while being deprived of an education because they're working, a majority of girls don't even get paid for their labor. On top of that, they're more prone to facing gender-based violence and physical risks in their workplaces, which oftentimes happen to be farms or coal mines. Is this the value of a girl? Another hurdle keeping many young women from receiving an education is the government. In many underdeveloped nations, the societal expectations of a girl are far different than that of a boy. Take Afghanistan, for example. Since the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021, the return to school for all Afghan girls over the age of 12 has been halted, leaving 1.1 million girls without access to an education and no plan to return. Is this the value of a girl? And finally, one of the biggest barriers to come between a girl and her education is poverty. In many cultures and communities, take for example Iraq or Syria, impoverished families favor investing in their sons' educations as opposed to their daughters', leaving them behind with little to no hope for the future and no plan besides marriage. Is this the value of a girl? No. So what is? Well, a girl is not a statistic. A girl is not a free laborer. A girl is not what her government wants her to be. A girl is not something you can hand over to a man in exchange for money. A girl is a human being, one who is ever deserving of an education, of the right to make decisions for her future, of the right to work, and of the right to change the world through her knowledge. The time for a change is long overdue, and you and I have the power to make it. We need to make sure that we educate families on the importance of investing in girls' education, and we need to make sure that girls have adequate access to the resources they need to receive an education. Here's some things that every single person in this room can do today, tomorrow, even right now, and should continue to do until a change is made. First up, donate. There are dozens of charities committed to funding girls' education around the world. Feel free to scan this QR code to see a list of a couple. Even a single penny could make the greatest difference. In some countries, such as India or Chad, just $50 is enough to fund a girl's education for an entire year. So remember, no matter where you donate or how much you donate, you're changing lives. Next up, call on foreign officials to make a change. Did you know that for every country in the world, the United States has representatives called consulate officers who promote democracy abroad? These people have the power to voice change and demand equal educational opportunities for the girls of their assigned countries. You can reach out to them over social media or make a phone call by visiting travel.state.gov. And finally, educate, inform, and encourage. Teach others the importance of equal educational opportunities for girls. Inform them on how the world would truly change and truly thrive if all women received an education. and encourage and support the women around you. Encourage them to learn, encourage them to defend their rights, and encourage them to stand up for what they believe in. And if we all did this, the world would truly change and truly flourish. Education empowers women to speak up for social, political, and economic change. On top of this, the World Bank estimates that if all women were to receive an education, it would lift over 60 million people out of poverty. And finally, educated women strive for job opportunities rather than domestic chores. This means they have children later in life and are more financially and economically independent. This leads to a chain reaction of future generations being guaranteed an education as well. And so I leave you today with a quote by Malala Yousafzai, one of the greatest activists of our time, the young woman from Pakistan who, after she was shot in the face by the Taliban, says she wishes not for revenge on them, but for an education to their daughters. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Thank you.
What a wonderful group of speakers we've had tonight. Let's give them all another round of applause. Thank you. Now sit tight, don't go anywhere yet, because we have some great guest entertainment for you, and we have our voting portion. As we begin that voting portion of the speech contest tonight, we remind you to rank each contestant 1 through 7 using the QR code that is in your event agenda or on the screen. During this time, we also get the honor to hear from Mike Politis. Mike Politis is a teaching professor on his 20th year at IUPUI. Outside of teaching and advising, his academic interests include humor, classroom civility, and service learning. Mike has been a corporate trainer, keynote speaker, and a stand-up comedian for over 20 years. He has performed at comedy clubs and colleges all over the Midwest and has opened for Elvis in Las Vegas and earned the title Indiana State Champion of Humorous Speaking from Toastmasters International. Let's all give a warm welcome to Mike Politis.
Thanks. Good evening, Indianapolis. How we doing tonight? Good. How about a round of applause for everybody you saw so far tonight? Give them a round of applause. Good to be here. Nice, nice. I know you guys are all looking up here thinking, oh, who invited the guy from Elf? Okay. I am a short guy by applause. How many of you like 5'4" or under? Where you at? Short people, make some noise. A few of you, yes. Yes. I'm excited because I got a job over the holidays. I'm going to be working as a bouncer at a Toys R Us. So I have that going for me. So I am 5'1". So yes, I do have troubles driving. I saw this sign on the side of the highway recently. I saw a sign that said, 4'9" is the magic number. You guys know what that is? Anybody know what that is? Legally, if you are 4'9" or under, you got to be in a car seat. Okay? Yes. So according to my math, I'm exactly 4 inches shy of having to legally be in a car seat in the back with my kids. All right. So, no, I don't mind being short. I can't see a lot at concerts. That does drive me a little bananas. I have trouble finding clothes. I have to shop in the boys department. This is a true story. I was at Target recently. I was in the boys department trying to find a shirt, and a woman came up to me, and I'm not making this up. She said, "Excuse me, can you spread out your arms like this? I want to see if this shirt fits my son. He's 12. Sweet, thanks. Get that. A lot of people find this amazing. I actually used to play college basketball. Yes, yes. Played it on Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Man, I was good too. So I started doing stand-up comedy. I was in marching band. By applause, how many people were in marching band in high school? Anybody? Yes. My band people, right on, yes. I started doing stand-up comedy when I was in marching band. But yell out, what did you play? Yeah, just yell it out. Trumpet, right? I heard some percussion, yes. So I played the cymbals, okay? So, yes. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, right? The little monkey going like that. Hey, that suit gets hot, let me tell you, right? Yeah. That's like the lowest of all the band instruments, isn't it? Right? The cymbals. It's like the band directors got together one day. They said, you know, we thought about it for a while. We decided that, how do we put this? You suck, okay? We're going to ask you to bang these metal trash can lids together, right, and make some noise. Yeah. Unless you had to play the triangle. Did anybody play the triangle? Sorry? I think that would be lower than the cymbals. How do you get jacked up for game day if you're the one carrying the triangle, right? Because, like, it's before the big game, right? You got these band people got their game faces on. I heard somebody say they play the trumpet. Trumpet players are out there, right? The drummers are out there before the game, right? Here's the triangle guy. Ting, that's my part, thank you very much. It's like, I don't know how you get excited about that. Had a lot of odd jobs in the past. Used to be I don't like to brag, but folks, you are looking at the 1991 Dorothy Lane Market speed bagging champion right here, folks. Yes, thank you. Still got that bullet on my resume, too. So, yes, so when I went to apply for here, right, they're like, he's fast, right? I used to have a job waiting tables. By plus, how many of you work in customer service? Wait tables? You can meet some stupid people when you work in customer service, right? Yes. And I used to work at an Italian restaurant, which shall remain nameless, Olive Garden. And I'm just amazed at how stupid people are sometimes. Like, I'm waiting on a couple one time. I said to the guy, I said, sir, what can I get to drink for you? He goes, I'll take an ice cold beer. Do we have to specify that? When was the last time you ever heard a football announcer go, at the end of halftime, it's the Colts 10 and the Titans 10. I'm going to kick back with a piping hot Coors Light. Why don't you do the same? I don't think that's going to happen. Did you ever get tipped crappy? Those people that have been waiting tables, you ever get tipped crappy? Yeah, so anybody ever been stiffed totally? Yes, that sucks, right? Look, I don't have a problem. Don't be tipping me out with a religious pamphlet instead of money, okay? Because nothing's worse. I am a product, folks, of the Sunday school. I got no problem with the religion. But don't be tipping me out with a religious pamphlet instead of money. Because nothing worse than coming back to the table, there's no money, just a little pamphlet. What would Jesus do? Like, well, I'm pretty sure he would tip me, okay? Thank you, yes. Maybe leave me a loaf of bread too, I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to get physically fit. I know we had one of our speakers talking about, Maddie, talking about getting physically fit. So do we have any runners in the room? Where are you at? Runners? Anybody? None. Okay, no runners, yes. When I first moved to Indianapolis, somebody said, hey, Mike, guess what? We have a marathon just for you. It's called the Mini Marathon. Like, oh, great. It's not like there's a wooden Snoopy at the starting line. You must be this tall to run this race. So I ran the mini marathon. For those of you that are not familiar with this, it's 13.1 miles. The halfway point of the mini marathon, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, right? So you get to the halfway point, you're good to go, right? You get to the halfway point, the track, you're all set. I am huffing and puffing, okay, to get around the halfway point. Nothing sucks the motivation out of you more like having them come on to the PA. I'm huffing and puffing, get to the halfway point. They come over the PA. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner from Kenya in 1 hour and 2 minutes. Jeez. I'll see you at the finish line with a piping hot Coors Light, okay? I got a massage afterwards, a professional massage. Clap if you've ever had a professional massage. Anybody? Yeah, they're very nice, aren't they? Right? Unless you don't know what to expect. Because this woman is massaging me, and first of all, y'all, she sounded like she smoked like 3 packs of non-filtered Camels a day. All right? I'm serious. She's all, did you know that the human head weighs 12 to 15 pounds? Did you know there are 7,000 nerve endings in the human foot? All right, what are you, Rain Man? Yeah, definitely 7,000 nerve endings in the human foot, yeah. I'm like, you know, a little less talky, a little more rubby, okay? What else can I tell you? So I did the mini marathon. Let's see, where's my classic rock people at? Where classic rock fans, music? Yes? A few of you? Yes. I recently saw the band Kiss. Yes, they are 73 and still putting on makeup and dragon boots. Yes, I saw recently, we got any AC/DC fans? Anyone like AC/DC? Yes? Yeah. I love the hard rock, though. When I was a kid, we used to have these fancy things called tape recorders, and you put your little cassette tape in there, and you put it next to your Sears radio, and you try to get your tunes that way, and you just hope that no background sounds mess up your tapes. So I'm up in my room, I'm grooving down to my favorite tunes, you know, if you see a faded sign at the side of the road that says 15 miles to Michael, it's time for dinner. Darn it, Mom! You're ruining all my tapes. So, I know we had said AC/DC. We had somebody out there say like AC/DC. I went to an AC/DC concert about 10, 15 years ago, right? AC/DC. My mom asks me, she's like, what are you doing this weekend? I said, I'm going to go see AC/DC. She goes, Michael, do you know what that stands for? That stands for Against Christ, Devil's Children. Like, I don't care if it stood for All Children Do Crack. I'm still gonna go to the show. Oh my God. So, I like Metallica. Do we have Metallica fans? Anybody? Metallica? A couple of you? Yes. I like Metallica. Just saw them recently. And James, you always know you're listening to a Metallica song because every phrase ends with, yeah. Okay. You turn on the radio, you listen to Metallica, you'll hear, the higher you walk, the further you fall. Like, whoa, James, dial it back, all right? Like, do you talk like that in real life? Is James Hetfield, the lead singer of Metallica, is he like rolling into McDonald's going, hi, hi, welcome to McDonald's, can I help you? Give me food, give me fries, give me ketchup on the side, ooh, yeah. I'm like, wow, James, I don't think so. So I didn't get a lot of dates as a kid. I know that's really surprising, right? Yes. When I did get a date, it was a big deal, right? It was a big deal in my house. And I find that, do we have any parents in the room? Any parents? A couple of you? Yes. I found parents have a unique way of embarrassing their kids at the most inopportune times. How many of you have parents that have embarrassed them publicly? Clap. Okay. Yes. So I'm 12 years old. I'm not right now. I'm 12 years old. I'm sitting in the barber's chair. Folks, I'm Greek. I am hairy by nature, okay? I'm sitting in the barber chair. The woman goes, my mom's waiting for me over here. I'm 12. I'm sitting in there. The woman goes, God, this kid's got a lot of hair. Without skipping my beat, my mom goes, that's not the only place he's got it. Oh, my God, Mom. Oh, my gosh. Right? Yes, I'm here to tell you, parents like to embarrass their kids, right? And I got a date, my prom date. We went to Bob Evans. I know, because that's the kind of money I was making bagging groceries, all right? So we got to Bob Evans. This is a true story. Went to Bob Evans, and just to be cute, I said to the waitress, I said, hey, is Bob working? And she goes, I don't know, do you know his last name? I'm like, Evans? She goes, hang on a second, let me go check. Okay, I didn't even think it was gonna go this far, right? She goes back to the kitchen, comes back a minute later, and she goes, do you know where he works? I'm like, I don't know, I think he's a busboy, okay? She goes, comes back a minute later and goes, you were playing a trick on me. You think? Here's a religious pamphlet, so. Yes. So I told you about my shopping experience. I'll close with this quick story. Do you guys think it's okay to spank kids? Is that okay to spank kids, you think? Some of you say yes. Wow. We know where the wild ones are. Okay. I found that I asked that question at a comedy club a couple of weeks ago, and the guy in the back goes, yeah, get the extension cord. I'm like, wow. Wow. Woo. Okay. All right. I found this out, y'all. Yeah, you want to see kids getting spanked? Go to Walmart, okay? Because that is where it's going down, all right? And it's like the same thing every single time, right? Because these little kids, they want something. The little kid wants something, all right? And I'm a dad, all right? I am a dad. I became a dad. I got 2 teens at home. I get it, right? I'll never forget that moment where I was a dad. My little kid, he's 2 months old. He's slurping this formula. I looked at the bottom of the container of baby formula. Yeah, $21 for a canister of baby formula. And he's just, I'm like, whoa, Todd, you ain't got to eat every day. Wow. I had this happen the next day. I was cooking, wasn't really paying attention, accidentally knocked over the canister of powdered baby formula all over the kitchen floor. Yeah, you don't think that happened in slow motion, right? I'm in there. Oh, no. Son of a gun, right? It's all over the kitchen floor. I'm like a crack dealer. I'm like got a razor blade on the floor going, oh, my God. My wife hasn't noticed yet. Oh, my God. But getting back to the spanking thing, yeah, you see kids getting spanked. You go to Walmart and the same thing every single time. These little kids, they want something and the moms won't give it to them. Boy, the little kids got to turn on those sirens, don't they? Because the little kid is practicing in the aisle. This is how it goes. He's practicing in the aisle. He's like, Ma, can I have some? 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 Ma, may I have some? Oh, it's got to be may. Yeah, okay, here I go. Okay, Ma, how you doing? Good, okay, good. You look very pretty today. Okay. Ma, I was just wondering, that since we're at the store anyway, I was hoping that maybe we could get some like Fruity Pebbles or something. Honey, we got Fruity Pebbles at home. What? Why can't we have them more? I just want to get some Fruity Pebbles. They got to do that little dance. I want some Fruity Pebbles. Why can't I have them? You're the meanest mommy in the world. I hate you. Wow. And that's when his mom's got to whip that little ventriloquist act on him. You all know exactly what I'm talking about too, right? Because the little kid's like, why can't I? I'm going to tell you for the last time. You're going to get your ass over here now. So, hey, my name's Mike Politis. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
One more round of applause for Mike Politis. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Friendly reminder before we announce the winners and before you leave to clean up after your area, pick up your trash, be careful outside with the construction, and if you are missing a phone, there is a phone with staff at the entrance table. All right. Tonight, our director, Stephen Overby, and the Associate Faculty of the Year, Teresa Tackett, will be presenting the awards. If we could please have one more round of applause for all of our contestants and instructors. Come to the stage, come to the stage. Yes, thank you. All right. And their instructors, please, if you could come to the stage with your contestant, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, are we ready? Tonight's third place finalist is Sarah Grace Wiggins. The second place finalist is Madeline Keelish. Our 105th IUPUI Communication Studies Speech Competition winner of Speech Night is Miriam Baig. Thank you all for supporting our contestants in tonight's event. Thank you to everyone involved in making this event happen, and from the IUPUI Department of Communication Studies, thank you all for coming. We are taking pictures up here, so any family, feel free to come up and we will take our photos. Thank you all for coming.